The day I married into the Yin family, Yanzhi, I threw 2 cards onto the table in front of the entire family, a black card and a property card. Each card contained 3 million for 3 months. Ask for more if it's not enough. The house is yours right here in Taikang Yipin. If you want to live there, just move in. If you don't like it, feel free to do whatever you like with it. He leaned back on the sofa, his tie loosely hanging at the collar of his shirt. His voice was languid, as if he were discussing the most ordinary business deal. My only requirement is this: each of us goes our own way. Don't get too cozy. And for heaven's sake, don't end up with any illegitimate kids. At the time, I was wearing a finger-length wedding dress, my veil still unlifted. The makeup artist had given me a look so flawless it felt like I was posing as a mannequin. Standing in the middle of the Gu family's living room, the chandelier lights hurt my eyes. In front of me sat a row of Gu family elders, each wearing an expression that seemed to say, "I'm just here to watch him," not saying a word. My parents hadn't come. They'd never approved of this marriage anyway. It was entirely my own decision to go through with it. Or rather, to be precise, it was a decision I'd been forced into. The Shen family had gone bankrupt, leaving my dad deep in debt. It was the Gu family who stepped in to fill the gap. The price? Me, Shendu, 20-4 years old. Having just graduated from the London School of Economics less than half a year ago. Before even getting my diploma, I'd been bundled off to the Gu household. I picked up that black card, glanced at it briefly, then put it down again. "Mr. Gu," I said, "going our separate ways that I can agree to. But when you're out there playing around, could you at least keep it discreet? I don't want tomorrow's headlines to read something like 'Young mistress of the thief family left all alone.'" Gu Yanzhi glanced at me, his lips curling ever so slightly upward. The smile was faint, but I could tell he found me mildly amusing. "Don't worry," he said. "I'm even more afraid of hitting the headlines than you are." That was the entirety of our conversation on our wedding night. Then he left. Right, our wedding night. He changed clothes and headed out the door. The driver was waiting at the entrance. Standing by the second-floor window, I watched as he climbed into that black Maybach. The car slowly pulled out of the gate, its taillights trailing to streaks of red light against the night sky. I stood alone by the window, dressed in my wedding gown, wearing my ring, watching my new husband's car disappear around the corner. The guests downstairs hadn't yet dispersed, and the clinking of glasses and murmurs drifted faintly up through the floorboards. I looked down at the pigeon's -egg- size diamond on my ring finger. The stone sparkled blindingly under the light. Heavy. I took it off and placed it on the bedside table, then began removing my makeup. For the next 3 years, Gu Yanzhi and I lived in perfect harmony. He had his life, and I had mine. He had several regular girlfriends outside the home. Everyone in his circle knew about them, but no one dared to bring it up publicly. As for me, I wasn't idle either. I dusted off what I'd learned in London and started my own PR firm from scratch. Within 2 years, I'd become somewhat known in the industry. We lived under the same roof, yet rarely crossed paths. The Gu family mansion was huge, so big that the two of us could completely avoid each other. He slept in the master bedroom, and I slept in the guest bedroom. If we happened to run into each other in the hallway, we'd just exchange a polite nod, acting like two roommates sharing an apartment. The only time we'd crossed the line was that winter during our first year of marriage. It had a bit too much to drink, come home late, and when I was changing shoes in the entryway, I lost my balance and nearly fell forward. Just then he happened to pass by, reached out, and caught me. His hand was cool, yet the grip on my waist was surprisingly strong. I looked up at him, and he looked down at me. The hallway lights were motion-sensor activated. Neither of us moved, and the lights went out. In the darkness, his breathing was close, carrying a faint scent of cedarwood perfume. "Shendu," he called my name, his voice slower than usual. "Have you had too much to drink?" I said. "It was just a gathering with some senior classmates from university. I drank a bit too much." And then he kissed me. The kiss wasn't gentle. It even carried a hint of release. He pressed me against the entryway wall, one hand gripping the back of my head, kissing me deeply and forcefully. I didn't push him away, nor did I respond. I just let him take me, passively enduring it all, my mind racing with a jumble of thoughts. After maybe 15 seconds, he released me. The lights came back on. He stepped back, his expression already cold and composed again, as if nothing had happened at all. He adjusted the collar of his shirt and said something that stuck with me for a long time. Next time, cut down on the drinking. Then he went upstairs. I leaned against the wall, my heart pounding like a drum, the warmth of his lips still lingering on mine. After that, without ever explicitly mentioning it, we both acted as if nothing had happened. He went out as usual. I worked as usual. I worked as usual. And when we did meet, hard to put into words. It felt like an invisible thread, quietly tying us together. 3 years passed quickly. According to our prenuptial agreement, the marriage was valid for 3 years. Today, 3 years after our wedding, a milestone anniversary, we had the option to either renew or divorce. I chose divorce, not because of him, and not because I'd fallen for someone else. Simply because I didn't want to play this game anymore. From the very beginning, this marriage had been a transaction. Now that the deal was done, it was time to call it quits. It already paid off the debt. I owed the Gu family everything my company had earned, plus 3 years' worth of living expenses. It saved every penny, and it all added up exactly right. When I printed out the divorce agreement, it was 2:00 in the afternoon. Gu Yanzhi, I was home. He had an important board meeting today and wouldn't be back until late. I sent him a message. Are you free tonight? There's something we need to talk about. He replied almost immediately, sure. Let's meet. Okay, 9:00 at my place. I put my phone down, slipped the divorce agreement into a file folder, and set it on the desk. Then I started packing. It was that I was moving out. I was just sorting through things, picking out what belonged to me. I opened the wardrobe, took out my clothes one by one, folded them neatly, and packed them into a suitcase. 3 years. I don't have much stuff, just one suitcase is already more than half full. At the very back of the wardrobe hangs a suit I had custom made last year during my business trip to the UK, the designer coat. It originally planned to give it as a gift to my in-laws, but somehow never found the right occasion. Eventually I just forgot about it altogether. I picked it up and took another look, hesitated for a moment, then folded it neatly and put it back into my suitcase. When Gu Yanzhi came home, it was exactly 9:00. As he stepped through the door, he carried with him the chill of the outside air. His suit jacket hung loosely over his arm, and the buttons at the cuffs of his shirt were undone, casually rolled up to his forearms. He noticed me sitting on the guest sofa and paused noticeably. "Yuri's still waiting for me?" he asked. I pointed to the file folder on the coffee table. "I've got something to talk to you about." He walked over and sat down on the sofa, not too close, not too far from me. He set his suit jacket aside, picked up the folder, opened it, and pulled out the papers inside. At first glance, his expression didn't change much, but when he reached the second page, his fingers paused briefly. After finishing the second page, he set the agreement down, looked up at me, and fixed his gaze on me. The living room lights illuminated his features clearly. His sharp eyebrows, high nose, thin lips, and sharply defined jawline. Objectively speaking, Gu Yanzhi really was good minus looking, the kind of guy who'd always attract extra glances wherever he went. "You want a divorce?" His voice was calm, devoid of any emotion. I said. 3 years have passed, and the agreement is very clear. Either party can choose to end the marriage. In choosing to end it, he didn't say anything more, just kept staring at me, his eyes heavy with unspoken weight. "Have you thought this through carefully?" he asked. "I've thought it through very carefully," I said. "I've written down all the terms in the agreement. I don't want your property. I don't want your house. I don't want anything at all. For these 3 years, I haven't touched a single penny from the card you gave me. It's all still in the account. You can check it yourself. I'm only taking my own things." As I spoke, My voice was remarkably calm, as if we were discussing something already settled. Yanzhi remained silent for a long time. Then he said something completely unexpected. So you're in a hurry, because there's someone else out there. What if I said no? I frowned slightly. There's nothing to negotiate here. This arrangement just doesn't make sense anymore. Then there's even less reason to get divorced, he added. The silence in the living room lasted maybe 3 seconds. Stared at him, trying to find even the slightest hint of joking in his expression. But there wasn't any. His face was utterly serious. So serious that it made me feel like I hardly recognized him anymore. Yanzhi said, you drafted the prenuptial agreement. You said we could each live our own lives, and you proposed the 3-year term. Now that the 3 years are up, you're telling me you don't want to get divorced. Right, he said, not going to happen. Why? I shot back, staring at him. His lips moved slightly, as if he wanted to say something. But in the end, he just muttered, there's no why. I almost laughed out loud at how absurdly angry he made me feel. Yanzhi, do you really think I'm easy to bully? You wrote the agreement? You can get divorced if you want. Or not if you don't. He didn't respond further. Instead, he picked up the divorce agreement from the table and began tearing it apart right in front of me. He tore it in half, folded it together, then tore it again. He kept ripping it, until tiny scraps of paper started falling through his fingers, landing on the coffee table and then on the carpet. As I watched him do all this, an indescribable feeling welled up inside me. It wasn't anger, it was something more akin to absurdity. This man had bought me like a commodity 3 years ago, handed me a credit card and an apartment, then gone off to spend his life freely. During those 3 years, he'd been seen out with other women, and did never said a single word against it, because that was our agreement. Now that the agreement has expired, I want to leave, but he won't let me. Why should I? Fine, I said, standing up. If you're not going to get divorced, then I'll just move out myself. You can stay here alone in this marriage. I turned around and started walking upstairs. Just 2 steps away, my wrist was suddenly grabbed from behind. His fingers closed tightly around me, not painfully, but impossible to break free. Shendu, his voice came from behind me, low and carrying a tone I'd never heard before. We still have half a year left, why are you so anxious? I turned my head to look at him. He was standing at the bottom of the stairs, and I was on the 3rd step, our eye levels perfectly aligned. The light behind him cast his face in shadow, but I could still see his eyes. Those usually cold eyes now seemed to glow with a flicker of something. Half a year, I asked. The contract doesn't expire for another 6 months. He said, you've got it wrong. The agreement says 3.5 years, not 3. I froze. No way, I distinctly remembered it being 3 years. Go check the original agreement. He said, look at the page where we signed it, the dates. Says 3.5 years. I stared into his eyes, trying to spot any sign of lying. But his expression was too genuine, so genuine that for a moment, I felt dazed. Yanzhi, you're lying to me. You can go check the original. I yanked my hand away from him and hurried upstairs. Bursting into the study, opening the safe, and pulling out the prenuptial agreement he'd personally placed there, I flipped to the last page and found that clause. In black and white, it was written crystal clear: this marriage agreement is valid for 3 years and 6 months, starting from the date both parties sign it. After that period, both parties may negotiate whether to continue the marriage or dissolve it. 3 years and 6 months. I stared at those words for a long time, my mind racing. I remembered clearly that when I'd first seen it, it was definitely 3 years. But here it was, in black and white. Had I misread it? Or had Yanzhi followed me sometime without me noticing? Leaning against the doorway of the study, hands in his pockets, watching me. I'm not lying to you, he said. I put the agreement back into the safe, locked it, and stood up. It's only been 6 months. We're bound to show signs of emotional incompatibility, aren't we? It's perfect timing for me to move out now. You don't have to worry about your reputation. Just shift all the blame onto me. You're not moving out, he said. The security system in this villa was just upgraded. You've deleted my fingerprints and facial recognition. I stared at him, utterly incredulous. Yanzhi, are you out of your mind? Maybe, he said, his tone as calm as if he were simply commenting on the nice weather today. But you're telling me you'll only stay here? I took a deep breath, forcing myself to suppress the urge to smash something.